Hello, welcome to my presentation. How do French leaders perceive a business succession? A theoretical proposal of four profiles. I'm Leah Wang, the research director of Transmission Lab, a non-profit organization, a foundation that is based in France and dedicated especially for the problematic, for the issue of business succession, family businesses in particular. And the background of this study is quite evident that succession is considered to be the most critical concern for business owners. And it is estimated as a process that could take over 10 years of preparation. However, in reality, very few owners do start this preparation process early enough, or even not at all. And we all know that only 1/3 of family business survive to the second generation, and only 10 to 15% make it to the third generation, with poor preparation at the root of the problem. And it has been shown that in the literature, the owner's inability to let go, to say goodbye, or their resistance, and is the most cited obstacle, and is considered as the key factor that contribute to the effective succession. And however, even though that the topic of succession is rather a complex process that involves multiple holders, and however, very few studies examine the different ways that business owners perceive and interpret succession transmission, in particular to how to prepare about that. And that's why we want to and to get inspired with series of social representation. That is approach that we study in the realm of social psychology, and how collectively people within the same population sharing the same social identity perceive a certain phenomena. And is there any categories that we can come from that? So what we did is that we analyzed a base of three evocations of leaders, and the aim is to provide a model of certain type of profiles, and regarding different ways that elderly incumbent that perceives business succession, because we believe that the problem of resistance, of having trouble of letting go, is particularly pronounced and in the population of elderly incumbent. Just a very quick walkthrough of this theoretical framework that we have, social representation from Moscovici 2008. And the definition is that the way in which individuals perceive an object of the reality that surround them. And it is a form of collectively developed and shared understanding with a practical focus, and contributing to the construction of a common reality to a particular social group. So two criterions are quite important. The first, that the object of study need to be sufficiently important for the target population. And in our case, business succession is just the most critical topics. And the second is that the population need to be defined as a group in a way that it is possible to say that the population shares a common social identity. And that is the case for our business owners. So what we did is that we passed an online questionnaire. Yeah, we did an invitation by mail with the help of CCE and Chamber of Commerce of France. The response rate is around 5% for around 3,000 emails sent to small and medium-sized business owners in France. We collected data in the end from 143 French business owners with an average age of 8 years old, and 85% men, 39% with a master or doctor degree, 56% are founders of the current company, and who are at the same time majority shareholders, and 52% have been in the position of owner and CEO for over 20 years. So we can see that they are right in the midst of this problem of having trouble of letting go. What we did is that we simply use this free association task, and they were asked to write down the first 3 words or phrases that come to mind spontaneously when they're thinking about preparing for business succession. And then they get to assess the attitude for each of these 3 evocations they associated with, ranging from -3, completely negative, to 3 completely positive, so a Likert scale of 7 points. So what we did that we started was validating the attitude measurement with a PCA principal component analysis on the 3 atoms, operationalizing the attitude associated with evocation. And the analysis make it possible to highlight a single component with the engine value that is greater than 1. It justifies 6.145% of variance. All atoms situation are greater than 0.152. Then we can calculate an average composite scores. The higher the score means the more positive the attitude associated with the evocation. In terms of data analysis, we did 2 things. Statistically, with principal component analysis, we're able to group, aggregate, and the different evocations and the perceptions of business leaders about business succession, and according to their degree of positive, negative, so that we can place them on a table of quadrant. And so which kind of words are more associated together. And then secondly, we also take a subjective evaluation manner in which that a group of researchers, of 2 researchers, to take a look at all these free evocations together, and also to name that. So this approach of similar to the coding approach in qualitative studies. And so in the end, we do come up with 2 dimensions, and one we named it, we coded the degree of engagement or the degree of commitment, to what level business owners are committed, are engaged, and motivated to prepare for business succession. And another axis, we name it pragmatism. So it is to the level that business owners take a rather a pragmatic approach. They're more into the details of preparation. What are the procedures? What are the taxes, the cost behind that, or rather to a abstract degree in which that business owners talked more about visions, different ways that business succession will take place, and quite honest, quite open, and what are the values that they want to pass on. So more personal, more abstract, and more internal. Well, the pragmatic way is rather organizational, more detailed, more pragmatic, a bit cold, a little bit negative sometimes. So you get the feeling of these 2 codings. And so with these 2 dimensions, pragmatism, high, low, commitment or motivation, high and low, we can come up with this 4 profiles. We want to look at what are the different factors, so independent variables, that could contribute to the different perceptions of business succession. That there are only 3 factors that contribute to the explanation of perceptions. And one is a capital situation, depending on if they're the founder or not, and the estimated time. They believe that business succession will take more than 2 years or less than 2 years. And it turns out that actually about half of them think that it takes only less than 2 years to prepare a business succession. And also the third one, the ownership lens. Have they been the owner and the CEO for over 20 years or less than 20 years? It turns out that those 3 factors contribute significantly to the explanation of the different perceptions of business succession. So based on that, we had 3 theoretical propositions. I'm just going to read that. The first one is that the duration of ownership is negatively associated with the level of willingness that incumbent has toward succession preparation. In other words, the longer the leader stays in the position of ownership, the less likely he or she is to invest in the succession preparation. Second proposition, the owner's capital position is associated with the level of pragmatism involved in the succession preparation. The founders, who are also majority shareholders, tend to think more about the values and potentials related to business succession, while the non-founders or those who are in the minority of the capitals are more concerned with the pragmatic aspects, taxes to pay, procedures, and the cost associated with the business transfer, the difficulties, the complexities associated with them. The third proposition, there is a positive relationship between the level of commitment and the owner's estimate of the time required to prepare for a business transfer. Those who believe that the preparation will only take no more than 2 years tend to perceive the succession in an idealistic way and without having a concrete plan, while those who estimated longer preparation time tend to be more engaged and more active in preparing the succession process in time. And what could be the take-home message of that? And I believe that this study could help consulting interventions and understandings of business owners for those who tend to adopt a idealistic view of business succession. There's a need for more professional support and sharing of good practices in the procedures and also the potential risk with them. And for those who uphold a rather pragmatic view, but a bit reluctant, and it's really necessary to share a vision and maybe the testimonies from other owners who have succeeded in transfer to grow. And then for those who are bit in the immortal profiles, and it's really important to work on the awareness raising and issues, maybe seminars or workshops to show the importance and the necessity to anticipate in time succession because no one is model. And for the future research, we would expect more in-depth interviews and to really come to validate and also expand the different codings structures that we come up with based on the free association task. And last but not least, and future research can come to explore some contingency factors, meaning the specificities related to business sectors, cultures, cash flow situations, competitive environment. So a large sample will be required and to tap into that contingency factors. And so thank you very much for listening. And here you go.